All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Chick Flicks. Oh my gosh, I almost did it. Chick Flicks, and you're through to the channel that brings you reviews, reactions to movies, TV shows, TV series, music videos, music songs. That's what I want to make this channel all about my reactions to stuff. And I told you guys in the previous reviews, I hope you enjoyed those two. One was about Extraction, which is the new movie that dropped on Netflix. The other was about Men in Black International, which is a movie that dropped very recently on Sky News. Sky News, Sky Movies, Sky News would have been interesting. Um, so I told you guys initially my plan was to do three reviews, and that was because I wanted to start the series, which was about Marvel. Excuse me, my mind just went to the blank. Getting old, you see, I'm getting old. So one of the things I wanted to do was review the Marvel series, particularly the Infinity series. Obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, that was a 22, 23 movies that was about phase four, phase three, and everything up to phase four, and that covers all sorts of movies. And we started right from the beginning, and we wanted to try and. I've seen all of the movies so many times. I figured, you know what? Why don't I just review all of these movies? So let's start right from the very beginning, right from the very get go, before we even knew what MCU was. Let's start from the very first one, and that was Iron Man in 2008. Now, I got to admit, I'm not really a comic buff. I was always, yeah, I had your basic comments, usually about Batman, Spider Man. Certainly didn't roll with Marvel like that. Comics wise, I'll be honest. Heard of Iron Man, didn't really have too much of an opinion one way or another. So for me, I was the quintessential casual fan, and I still am. Believe me, I'm no expert just because I've seen these movies. I get that, you know. Um, Having said that, I went into the movie purely because, quite honestly, I like Robbie Downey Jr. I've seen him in all sorts of movies up until that point. I knew that he went through a big amount of problems, particularly around drugs and stuff and drinking and that. And he himself has dedicated his run in Marvel, really helped save his life. That's what one of the things I've seen him say in an interview before. And you can see why. I think this movie came at a time where he badly needed it. Funny enough, just before I saw Iron Man, I saw a movie called U.S. Marshals with Wesley Snipes in it, and I think that was filmed just before this. So it was really interesting to see how that character would immerse himself in this particular role. Terrence Howard is obviously in the movie, and obviously I like Terrence Howard. Jeff Bridges is in the movie. I like Jeff Bridges, and Jon Favreau, who I never knew at that point was a director, directed the movie. So I was curious, I'll be honest. But like I said, I didn't go into it with any kind of expectations or any sort of, you know, yeah, I liked superhero movies up until that point, but it wasn't like a man thing. It wasn't like, oh, I have 18,000 comics. I was a quintessential casual fan. And then I saw this movie and it was brilliant. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. It's amazing because when you watch that movie now, you don't realize that actually they had a lot of issues filming that movie. Apparently, budgets were being cut off, studios were getting involved, and then they had to push back into back on the studios and stuff. And apparently, the third act of that movie was very much done on the fly. I think Todd Bridges tells the story of how him, Jon Favreau, and RDJ just got together and essentially hashed out the rest of that movie because they didn't really know which way they were going to go. The original idea that they had, they decided it wasn't going to work. And I think when you really consider that, because when you hear stories like that, alarm bells go off like, oh no. Very few movies work in that respect. The last movie I saw where there was loads of rewrites and studios got involved and budgets got ran out was World War Z. Now, I don't crap on the last act of that movie the way other people were, but you could definitely see there's a massive tonal change in that movie when you watch it compared to the rest of that movie. And that certainly wasn't the case here. I thought it was an excellent action movie, just a nice, fun, PG-13, wonderful action movie. I thought RDJ was brilliant as Iron Man, as the carefree Tony Stark, who, you know, playboy, not a care in the world, more money than he knows what to do with. And you see his progression in the film. And obviously, as we later on found out, you see his progression throughout the phases, really. But yeah, you can definitely see his progression in the movie. And that was what was so fascinating, because you saw someone who was growing and developing for your very eyes. It's like, all right, I've made all this money off weapons, but what I don't think about is what these people then go on and do with those weapons. It was interesting to see him have that journey, if you like. Obviously, won't spoil it if you haven't seen the movie, but something happens quite prominent in the movie, which they hint to at the start of the movie. They do a flashback and catch you up, and you could see that, you know, there's a massive shift in Tony's thinking as a result of that. And, you know, he goes back and extracts his revenge on what happened in that movie. And you just think, yeah, fuck yeah. It's just an action movie. You're rooting for him throughout. I love Don Cheadle. Please don't take this as a Don Cheadle bashing. For me, Terrence Howard is the best roadie. I'm sorry. He is the best roadie. To me, it's a shame that them, because apparently in real life, him and RDJ don't speak now. They used to be quite close. And then when it came to negotiating for the second movie, money got involved, as these things usually happen, and they never got back together. And obviously, as a result, Terrence Howard lost a lot of money as a result of that. It's a shame. In my opinion, I think his chemistry with Rhodey is better than the one with John Cheadle. It's just my opinion. I've always thought that. I think John Cheadle does a fine job. I think the chemistry that remains with RDJ is fine. There's still a little something there, but to me, it was always stronger with Terrence Howard. And that was one of the big elements of the first movie that I really liked. This movie that I really liked. And just, yeah, you just saw little elements coming together. Obviously, the person that played Pappy is the one, or Happy is the one that directs this movie. I think he does a largely solid job, particularly with some of the budget restraints that they did have. And obviously, we know what happened. I think, you know, DC must look at this movie and just curse it, because they've never had a movie like this that's just fun, bouncy, solid action movie, doesn't go on too long, has a likable star, and bags them money. It just doesn't happen. I still root for DC because my favorite superheroes are still DC ones. They still are. But, you know, Marvel is just killing it. They are an absolute conglomerate. And I don't know what DC are going to do to slow it down. But to me, this is where it all started. For me, I give this movie an A-. I thought it was brilliant. Really, I'm being picky with minus. Just because of giving it a minus doesn't really mean there was anything that wrong. I just think when you compare it to the movies to come, I couldn't consciously give this an A or an A+. But an A-, I thought it was good as a first movie in a massive series could be. So yeah, that's what I would give it. You guys let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, please crush that like button first and foremost. Hit that subscribe button. Numbers are ever so slowly creeping up. So make sure you keep those numbers growing. And yeah, I'm out of it. Take care. Peace.